Now, the sixth one is long distance package. What I did is I was sitting in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And you understand anything about New Mexico. It's the fifth largest state and very populated. What we do in New Mexico is we chant. Na, 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 na. We're very connected in New Mexico, you know. But it's not the best business center, but we're very connected, okay? Very cool, cultural, down-to-earth people. But I knew I wasn't going to get rich in New Mexico, okay? I got my core group started here. I had a core group in Albuquerque. I had a good little meeting going, good little training. But how big could I get my meeting in Albuquerque? And how big could I get my training in Albuquerque? Okay, and Albuquerque is it, and the rest is New Mexico. I mean, it's just, enchanted lands, okay? I mean, I wasn't going to get rich out there. And so this is the truth. I thought to myself, I want to access that 300 million people. So what I did is I told my core group of people at my mastermind lunch, I said, here's what we're going to start doing. We're going to start sending out one long-distance package a week. You know where it began? With me. And everybody goes, what? I go, I'm going to send out one long-distance package a week. And are you in or are you out? Well, I don't know. I go, what are you going to do? I go, I don't know, man. I got this training schedule the company's put out. I'm going to send out one long-distance package a week, 3 weeks in front of it, so I can get to it, and I can talk to them on the phone and try and get somebody to that meeting. I go, okay. So I started doing my one. Now think about it, people. I do my one a week. Let's just say I do that 50 weeks of the year. 2 weeks I take off for the holidays, okay? That's 50 a year. Let's say that costs me $3 each one, postage and everything. That's $150. I'll guarantee you those 50 a year, I will make more money off that $150 there than I would $150 in the stock market anywhere, okay? But again, just like the 2 exposures a day, the magic was when everybody around me saw me doing it. And all of a sudden I had one over in St. Louis. Or all of a sudden I had one over here, and they're going, whoa, Jeff got somebody. You know, he sent long package. They went to a meeting. He's talking on the phone. He sponsored somebody in another town. And so all of a sudden my little core group, not the masses, my core group started doing it. So all of a sudden I had 5. So now there was 6 going out a week. Okay, times 50 weeks. I had 300 a year going out. Did my return on investment go way up? I was only sending out my 50, but I had 300 going out. And all of a sudden it went down one more level. I had 25 doing it. People in Albuquerque, I swear, we were moving over 1,000 long distance packages a month out of Albuquerque. You know why? Because I put them all together. I went down to a printer, I printed every single one of them up, I put them together, and I sold them to them at my cost. So I knew what was going on. I mean, I had truckloads of them because it started with me doing one. I got a few other people to do it, and it just took off, and Albuquerque became one of the biggest hubs for that entire company. Out of Albuquerque, one of the big, like I said, I went to the very top, one of the biggest organizations in the entire company grew. Would that have happened if I just kept on saying I'm going to do my weekly meeting, my weekly training in Albuquerque? To get out, I had to start with a long-distance package. I knew I couldn't ask everybody to do 2 a day. That's too much, right? I can get you to do 2 tapes a day in your city, or 2 internet exposures, or 2 phone calls a day, but I can't get you to do 2 long-distance packages. So I took it down to 1 a week. If you want to have an organization that leverages 300 million people, you got to do your 1 a week. When you start doing your 1, and all of a sudden you go through your learn knowledge, activity knowledge, you learn knowledge, activity knowledge, you learn knowledge, activity knowledge, till you become worthy of being modeled. You'll become the teacher, and all of a sudden you'll get 5 doing it. Now you got 6 going. They'll get their 5. You got 31 going. They'll get their 5. You got 125 going. And all of a sudden, it's real easy. You take it one level deeper, it's 625. It was real easy for me to have that many going out, okay? I don't know how many thousands a month are going out on my behalf. But I know that it would never happen if I hadn't started with my 1, okay? You see how simple this business is? It's so simple. You know it. It's always been right in front of you, but you don't do it. It's so darn simple what you got to do, and that persistent consistency, and give it enough time to move away from you and go through the learn knowledge, activity knowledge, so you become worthy of being modeled, so people start understanding it and starts moving away. 1 long distance package a week. It's a perfect example. I tell you what, I built an organization all over the United States and in Europe because of that one concept, okay? And both companies that I did it with, like I told earlier. Okay, so 1 long distance package a week, that's the 6th one. The great thing is you're going through learn knowledge, activity, then you go right back to your learn knowledge, activity, and you would be amazed what it will do for you, okay? But I really believe you should have an ongoing regular training in your market. Regular training that teaches nothing but this, the Getting Started Right book. I know you're going to say, oh, it's all in there. I don't need to train it. You need to train it. You just sit down with them and go through the basics of it, okay? My opinion, all you need to teach somebody in that is how to make their list, how to grade that list, how to figure out the first 10 people they're going to expose, come up with a strategy to expose those 10 people, and how you're going to follow up together on those. That's it. Don't teach them anymore. Okay? When you start adding to that, anything beyond that, I think you're complicated. Not give them all this stuff, this graduate doctor degree stuff. Okay? They need to know how to make a list. You know, if I have somebody shows up with 100 names, then I narrow that down to 10 best. I have somebody shows up with 2 names, I sit there with them until I figure out 10 people. I want to get the 10 people, I want to get those 10 packages out as fast as I can. I'm going to come up with whatever system we're going to use to expose those first 10. I'm saying that I'm here with you to do it with you if you need me. You're going to have some people come in your business that don't need you. You're going to have other people come in your business that need every ounce of you. Okay, because they've never done anything like this before. That's where you're there. You're the variable trying to figure that out. I think you should have regular training in your local market that teaches people how to get started. And we have the advanced product training on the first Saturday of every month. It's just starting this month, okay, which I think is one of the most brilliant things we've done. And I said it earlier, but I just think what we're doing is we're pulling the most important guts out of the group training, which is getting people to really know the product and how to sell it, okay, and taking that out, and it's proven that people go to group school are 15 times better at recruiting, 20 times better at selling memberships. And I think that reason is because the product, not because they learn how to talk to a human resource manager. It's because they learn the product. We're putting that out, and you're going to have that in the first Saturday of every single month. I think it's great being out there. I think it's another method, okay? They're adding. On top of that, I just believe a person should eventually go to every training. You know, I don't believe everybody should do group. I believe everybody should go to group training. Why? Because you get 2 days of it. You see a bigger picture. You learn better how to sell. You learn a lot of things, okay? But, you know, quite honestly, the vast majority of people shouldn't do group. Because to do group, group is different. You got to know how to call corporations. You got to be able to get to a decision maker, you know, human resource manager, an officer, a manager. You got to know how to go in and make a presentation and do a close. That's not, you know, 9 out of 10 people can't sell, okay? But everybody should go to group school so that when they're building an organization and start moving in depth and they bump into that person who maybe sold copiers or maybe sold benefits or something like that before, you know enough to communicate to them intelligently so that you can get them to understand why they need to go to group school and sell the opportunity. But, you know, the big mistake is the biggest mistake I see, remember I said about strengths and weaknesses, is people get in, they start doing their 2 a day, they're building their organization, and all of a sudden they see one testimonial that somebody in group made a bunch of money because they sold a group, and they think, oh, that's what I got to go do to make a lot of money. And they go over there and they quit doing their 2 a day, they quit doing their weekly business briefing, they quit doing their long distance package, and they go out there and they start chasing the elephant, and trust me, they can't do it. I want you to hear me real loud and clear. I believe everybody should go to group training because you need to know it so that when somebody shows up in your group, let me put it this way. You know who has the largest group volume in their business? Dave Savola. He can't spell the word group, okay? But he can promote group, okay? Dave Savola doesn't do group. Dave Savola has a large organization because he knows how to say what? He says 2 a day, a meeting a week. Do you have 15 minutes? I got something, may not be interested. Goes third-party tool. I got a weekly business briefing. That's all Dave trains. And he builds this large organization. And so let's just say 1 out of 10 can do group. That means if he builds an organization of 100, he's got 10. Goes to 1,000, he's got 100. Goes to 10,000, he's got 1,000. Goes to 100,000, he's got 10,000. That's how you get a large group organization. But again, everybody should go to group school. But not right at first you go, you know, you're getting in, you got to do this, you got to do that, you got to go to group school, you got to do this, you got to do that. No, you kill them, okay? So you understand, that's why I talk about strengths and weaknesses. Our strength is we have all this. But it can be a weakness if you don't learn how to manage it. Okay, that's all I'm saying. Okay, to understand that. The 8th one is regionals and Super Saturdays. All these things have a flow to them. You know, you do exposure with somebody's third-party tool. You get them to go to a PBR. They go to a weekly business briefing. They go to a Super Saturday. What they're doing is you're growing their exposure. The Super Saturday is that meeting we have once a month. Okay, I'll tell you what happened to me was really interesting. I was building my little organization here in Albuquerque, and I was into my 4th month. And I'm sitting there, and all I'd ever done is my meetings in Albuquerque, my trainings in Albuquerque, and I'd never seen in my life a network marketing meeting. I'd never seen in my life a network marketing training. I was just out there doing it, okay? And I heard that a guy named Don Kinder, now Don Kinder is one of these guys who's been in the industry like 25, 30 years, been in the company like 8, 10 years, and he's one of those guys, those stupid guys on the video making all that money. I heard that Don Kinder was going to be in Tucson, Arizona, doing a training on a Saturday at 10 o'clock. And I'll never forget, I said, Don Kinder, one of those guys. And you remember, I was here, I hadn't learned, I was just going through my paces, okay? So I said, I'm going to go see Don Kinder. So here's what I did. I worked my business till Friday, got done, went home, napped for a while. And then I got in a car and I drove to Tucson, Arizona. That's 8 hours from Albuquerque to Tucson. In between are 2 people chanting, okay? drove to Tucson, got there in the morning, walked in this room, and there was like 600 people at this meeting. I was going, holy cow, look at this. I got a meeting of 40 in Albuquerque, 600 people. You know, so I sat there, and Don Kinder comes out, and I'm going, that's the guy on the tape making all the money, one of those dumb guys, okay? So I'm sitting there. He starts doing his training. I couldn't take notes. And it blew my mind. I'm looking around me, and there's people not taking notes. I'm going, why are you even here? Don Kinder, talking, telling you what he knows. You're not taking notes? And I was just, you know, I'm taking notes, because I'd been through this activity and learned knowledge pace, but he was telling me gems. I was going, just right. I filled up pages and pages and pages of notes. Why? Would you not, if you're treating it like a business, you'd be taking notes, right? Come on, if you had $500,000 in something and one of the top persons in that franchise showed up and was going to tell you tricks, would you go, I don't need to know that? No, I mean, you'd have 2 tape recorders next to you playing. You'd have a secretary taking notes just in case you missed something, right? If you had $500,000. That's what I'm asking you. Are you really treating this like a business? You've got to ask yourself, you've got to look hard in the mirror and ask yourself this, people. You really do. Okay, so I'm there. I've driven my 8 hours. I left my company I own for 56 hours. I drove there. I'm sitting there taking notes. It gets done. Don Kinder gets done. And you know, after the meeting, how he went off. Don Kinder went off with all the cool dudes. You know, you ever notice how the platinums hang together and ignore all of us, you know? So I'm sitting there, and, you know, they go off to a restaurant, and we're all sitting out there looking at them, you know, like, you know, a little peon with everybody. God, they're in there. All those rich people are in there, you know? And I'm sitting there. So I waited and waited because they had a limo sitting out there, and I knew that had to be for him. I'm waiting. Don Kinder comes out, approached Don. I go, Don, my name's Jeff Olson. Can I talk to you? And he just blew me off. I mean, he was so rude. And I went, God, that hurt, you know. But I thought, you know, one thing I said to myself, I'll never do that when I get, you know, if I ever get to the top. And so he left, but it didn't matter. I had my Don Kinder tapes I'd bought, you know. And so I had my Don Kinder tapes. I drove home 8 hours that night, listening to Don Kinder the whole way. Okay. When I got back to Albuquerque, I went back to my, the next Monday, I had my mastermind lunch. You know, my little group now was up to about 15, 20. I walked in, and they said, Jeff, what happened to you? I said, you guys, I've been to the mountaintop. I got the scroll. I got it all right here. I got the answers. You know, I mean, that's the glow I had. You remember when Moses was glowing? You know, I had that glow. You know, I said, you won't believe. And I sat there, and this is true, guys. Sat there, and I was a different person. And I said, I was giving them everything. And I said, you guys, you understand, we got to get more people to something like this. I go, B.T. Heineman, one of the guys on the tape, is going to be in Denver 2 weeks from now. We got to get a crowd there. So I got 2 vans, and we got 10 people in the van. And we took off to Denver 2 weeks later. Listened to our Don Kinder tapes, okay? We got up there, and B.T. Heineman did his thing. And now I was sitting there, and I had 9 people sitting there going, he got done, and they all looked at me, and I go, I told you. You know, we got back in our car. Now we had our B.T. Heineman tapes, you know. We drove back, and this is when my organization, this is true, this is when my organization exploded. When we 10 came back, that, you know, my core group, and we came back, that organization in Albuquerque just went boom. The meetings went to like 200 people within like 2 weeks, okay? It exploded. But people, if I hadn't done all those weekly meetings, pushing people, done those Sunday night calls to push people to a weekly meeting, Wednesday night calls, push them to a training, okay? Had a little luncheon that I was driving people to, build my little core group. If I hadn't done all that and then left and gone to Tucson to see it and come back, I wouldn't have had the group to say, we got to go to Denver, which is another 8-hour drive, okay? I wouldn't have had that. I had to do this to have that core group. I didn't go back. I didn't move the hundreds of people to Denver. I moved my core group, and we went there, and when we came back, it was done. I was basically done. I was basically a millionaire at that point in time because I had it in place and it taken off, and it was a group that rocketed to top 10 in the company in that year, okay? So I'm just saying these Super Saturdays and regionals are big. You need to treat them very seriously here, okay? You need to use them. They're around the country, all over. They're listed in the company's internet site. You need to know where they're all at. The best thing to do long-distance sponsoring in front of is those, because you know it's going to be a first-class presentation. And so you start working 3 weeks out, you start getting a package to all those places, and you follow up on those. That's the best thing you can do, okay? So the Super Saturdays and regionals are a huge thing. The other thing I always try and do is I always try, a big event like that, I do what I call sponsor to sponsor. What I mean by that, like there's an event coming up and like Rick said that Dave Savola is going to be here, I guess, in 2 or 3 weeks. Don't start recruiting for Dave Savola in 2 or 3 weeks. Recruit to the next PBR as quick as you can, the next weekly meeting, so you can get people in now so that they can bring their people to see Dave Savola. The big secret, sponsor to sponsor. Don't sponsor into the big event. Do a lot of events in front of it so you can build a group of people who bring a bunch of people to see Dave Savola, because Dave Savola will do to them what B.T. Heineman and Don Kinder did to me, okay? And here's another thing I'll just tell you. You remember Don Kinder guy? I blew him away. Okay, I blew Don Kinder away like he was standing, Mr. Cool dude, been in the industry for 25 years, been in the company for 8 years. I blew him away. He called me up after I'd been in the business a year, and he goes, Jeff, can I come to Albuquerque and spend a week with you? I go, why? He goes, I want to come and see what you're doing. I go, what do you mean? What do you want to see? And he goes, I want to see what you're doing. I go, we don't do anything. He goes, well, what are you doing? What are you doing? You're blowing everybody away. And I go, well, we do 2 exposures a day. We got a weekly meeting, a weekly training. We send out a long distance package, and I hang out with my core people. Well, no. What are you doing? You're smoking everybody. We do 2 exposures a day. We have a weekly meeting, a weekly training, do a long distance package, and I hang out with my core people. No. What are you doing? You killed us all. We've been in the industry 10, 15, 20 years. You're in Albuquerque. What are you doing? You know, we do 2 exposures a day. You know, and I swear I was getting called all the time. When we did our Super Saturdays in Albuquerque, the leaders, all the people on the tape I used to watch, used to fly into Albuquerque to watch what we're doing. It used to drive me crazy. What are you doing? I was going, you know, we do it too. I go, that's what we do. You know, no. There had to be something magical. There was nothing magical, okay? So I'm just telling you, those events are everything, how they drive. The 9th one is corporate events. The company has 2 corporate events a year. You drive people to that because you know why. They get a bigger vision, a bigger belief. It's more than anything else, okay? A bigger vision, bigger belief. People always ask me, well, what order do you do all this stuff in? You know, there is no order. There's no right way. I mean, you don't say to somebody says, oh, Lee, the corporate event's in Oklahoma next week. Can I go? Nope. You got to have an exposure and go to a PBR, then do a weekly meeting, then a Super Saturday, and then we'll let you go. No, there's no order, okay? There's no right, wrong way. You just want to get them to the event. But the corporate event gives them a bigger picture. You all know that. They get a bigger belief in what's going on, and so the corporate event. The 10th one is a game plan interview. I just went over that, okay? Like I said, the game plan interview, which is this Getting Started Right book. My whole goal is make a list, grade the list, come up with 10 people, come up with a planned exposure, use third-party tools, and do it with them and follow up, okay? Let me show how all this worked for me. I was in that first company again. And everything I'm teaching you is what I learned in my first year, okay? And everything was rocking. I was doing really good. I'd gone to the very top. And all of a sudden, the company announced, we're going to Germany. We're going to open Germany. And I go, Germany? See, I came in late here. But I could be big in Germany. I'll be first. I could be the #1 dog in Germany because I came in the United States when the company had been around 25 years. And you know, I was already at the top. But Germany, I'm going to own it. So I said, okay, I'm going to figure out how to do this Germany thing. So the company says, we're going to open in Germany in about 6 months. So I went back to my mastermind group. That's why this core group is so important. I said, you guys, we're going to be the biggest in Germany. And they go, you know, this is like when I said we're going to do long distance package. Now we had one of the biggest organizations nationwide. If I hadn't done that, it would have been an Albuquerque group forever, okay? But we became a United States group. Said, we're going to do Germany. I go, how? And I go, I don't know. You know, learn knowledge, activity knowledge, we'll figure it out. What did Watson say? Double your rate of failure. What did Emerson say? Do the thing you have the power. I go, I don't know. We're going to figure it out. And I go, let's start figuring out ways to find Germans. Find Germans, okay? They're the ones with their arms up. No, find Germans. Yeah, find Germans. So, you know, trust me, I got tons of German friends. When I went over there, I had a lot of fun with them. But because the story leads to the biggest organization that still exists in all of Germany in network marketing, okay, to this day, okay, and the biggest organization in Europe in that company, okay. So so I said, we've got to find Germans. So we go out and we come back to our leadership meeting. Now understand, as your organization starts growing outside of Albuquerque or long distance, you have to do everything I'm talking about on the phone. You got to do the opportunity meetings on the phone. You got to do trainings on the phone. You got to do mastermind meetings on the phone. Okay. Everybody always goes, "What's that mastermind meeting about?" Talk about how you do the 10 core commitments better. What are you doing? What are you doing? I don't know. What are you doing? What's working for you? What's not working for you? What have you learned? We didn't come in and go, let's add an 11th one. Let's make this a 7.5. We just, we didn't try and figure that out. We just mastered these things, okay? So we came back, and I said, anybody find any Germans? Well, not really. Well, I kept asking, we got to find Germans. I was looking for Germans, but we started figuring it out. Go to the Mercedes dealership, go to the German club. There's ways. We started finding Germans. And here's what I did. I started out telling everybody, here's how we found Germans. See, the mastermind group, synergy, 1 + 1 = more than 2. And so then I put together a little form, my German form, okay? And I said, if you find a German, get all this information, their name, the city they're in, information about them, contacts and all that. I said, get all that and send it to me, because Germany was going to open. So my group started doing that, and all of a sudden, because on the weekly mastermind meeting on Monday that we're having, which mine grew to over 100 people at one time, okay? It grew, okay? Just that mastermind meeting. But also I did it on the phone. Everybody was sending me their things. So I kept doing that, okay? Asking people, have you found Germans? Have you found Germans? And people started sending me their German things. I even made it finally after about 10 weeks of doing this, I'd figured out enough about Germans that I even sat down with a tape recorder and I did a 45-minute training in a tape recorder, how to find Germans, okay? And I sent it to all my people, okay? So all my people had a tape, they could drive around the car, how to find Germans, basically. And so everybody was sending me Germans. So everybody was sending me Germans, and I got this folder, and I put them in there. I had Hamburg, I had Dusseldorf, I had Cologne, I had Heidelberg, I had Munich, I had Frankfurt, and I was just putting them all in there. And they all came to me, okay? So then finally Germany opened. And so I took off to Germany. And I put together a schedule. I got a hold of a travel agent, and I said, I want to put together a meeting in a hotel. I want to be in a hotel for 3 days in Hamburg, 3 days in Dusseldorf, 3 days in Cologne, 3 days in Heidelberg, 3 days down in Munich, 3 days in Frankfurt, okay? And that's how I set up my schedule. And I gave that schedule to everybody in the United States. And I had a conference call with everybody in the United States. And I couldn't have done this if I hadn't done everything else I'd done. You understand that? That's not what I'm saying you do day one. I'm showing you where it goes if you buy into this persistency and consistency thing. And you start building that core group people that you go to. I'm always going to the core group with all this stuff. So I got them on the phone and said, okay, I'm going. Here's the schedule I sent to everybody. I'll be there. You guys contact these people, send it to me, okay? So I flew to Germany, landed in Hamburg. I got my clothes in one hand, my briefcase with Germans in the other hand. Okay? You know what I felt like? I didn't know one German. I've never been in Germany. I checked into the hotel, went to bed, got in the morning, went to the front desk, and I said, listen, I'm going to be sitting over there. My name's Jeff Olson. People are going to be sending people to talk to me. I'll be sitting over there. And I told everybody I'll meet with people at 10, 12, 2, and 4 during the day. So I sat there. People walk in. I was watching them walk in. All of a sudden, somebody walk up to the front desk, and I hear them talk. They see them point at me. I go, they walk over. If they couldn't speak English, it was over. Right then. This is true. If they can speak English, sit down. They sit down. I talk to them for a while, become their friend, a little bit, have some coffee, that dark coffee, stick a spoon, it doesn't even move, okay? Just, during the coffee. And then finally, I'd say, you want to go to my room? I'd take it, because in my room, I had a TV with a player that I'd bought over there, okay? And I went over there, and guess what I did? Put in a tape, third party. I watched them, listen to that tape. It was in German. They come and put it together and watch them. And then I get done, and we had a book with all these German stories. I get it out and have them read it. They say they like it, and I go, good. And I just tell them, here's what we're doing. We're opening up Germany, and I'm going to do a training in Frankfurt at the end of the month. If you want to know how to do this, be there. They go, well, what else do we do? I go, be in Frankfurt on this date, and I'll show you how to do the business, okay? So I do it 10, 2, 4, and 6. People would send them. I have a little folder come out, and they show, and I get it, and I mark up. At the end of every night, I'd write on these things and fax them back to the people in the United States saying, I talked to this person. Make sure you follow up to be at the thing, okay? It was amazing. All of a sudden, people were sending them from America, but all of a sudden, Germans were showing back up at my 2 or 4 with other Germans. So my meetings started growing, okay? The next day, they grew, and I had a ton of people coming through. Then when I went off to Dusseldorf, the people in Hamburg were bringing people to Dusseldorf, and the people in America were still sending people into Dusseldorf. And it was like a caravan. It grew, and it grew, and it grew. By the time I got to Hamburg, which was great, I had 150 Germans for a 2-day training. Sit in a room for 2 days and listen to me tell them how to do the business. And guess what I trained them? The 10 core commitments, okay? I didn't teach them everything else. And I'll never forget it, because, and everybody said to me, you got to talk to Germans different. They're different. And I go, they eat McDonald's. We're all the same, okay? And I just went over there and did it the exact same way. And it was the most amazing thing, because it was so funny. I had this one guy who really got excited and traveled with me. And so he'd translate for me. Like I'd go, I'd say blah, 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 and he'd say it in German, and they'd say things back, and he'd say it back to me. And so I was doing those presentations all the time, talking. And it was really funny because I'd do a presentation, I'd say something, he'd say something, and then eventually I'd say something, and he'd just take off. But, because after a while, he knew it. He knew everything I said, and I was just looking at him like, I'm the man, don't leave me, But, but this guy's name was Vin Plonger, who became a millionaire in the industry. I mean, Vin Plonger knew nothing about network marketing, never been in network marketing, but he locked into me in Hamburg and stayed with me through that whole thing. And in that 1 month, because he had to be my mouth, he knew the business. It shows you the power of 2x2 training, okay? The point I'm trying to demonstrate is I didn't know a German. Not one German, but because I'd done the things I'd done in Albuquerque, and I'd built a simple process that everybody could understand and duplicate, and through that, I found core people that I could go to. I couldn't go to everybody with this. I always had somebody I could come back to from Don Kinder. I had a group I could take to see B.T. Heinemann. I had a group of people I could take to the national corporate event of that company. I had a group of people who would listen to me when I said, we've got to find Germans. I had people who listened to me when I said, we're going to do a long-distance package. That's why you do the weekly meeting, the weekly training, and you look for those core people. That's how you build your business. I don't build my business on the thousands that come and go. I build it in that core group. Okay, I've always said, if you become core, you find 5 who are core, help them find their 5 are core. That's 30. It's done. If you do that, the thousands and the thousands and thousands will come. You don't build organizations of thousands. I used to have an organization of hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people. People used to always come up to me and say, how big is your organization? I go, about 30. I work with about 30 people, because that's what I did. I worked with about 30 people. If you become core, and you find 5 who are core, okay, help them find their 5, you're done. But you'll never find your first 5. Let me tell you what, the hardest thing, you're going to spend more time in becoming core. Then your second hardest thing is going to be the next 5. Your third hardest thing will be the next 25. The hardest thing is when you got to become core. Once you become core, your life changes, okay? So with that said, I want to give you a training that is my favorite thing, okay? This is everything to me. I was always frustrated because I was trying to get my organization to move to another level, okay? And came up with this training. A lot of it came from a gentleman named Jim Rohn. I sat and listened to a set of it. One day I took a set of Jim Rohn tapes. I flew to, you remember Learn Knowledge? I flew to Phoenix, sat at a resort hotel by a pool and listened to these tapes all weekend, okay? And it got my thinking changed a little bit, and it led to this training. This training is a big thing. It's a thing called the slide edge, okay? And it has affected my entire life, okay? And it really works in network marketing, okay? Because what it demonstrates is what I'm trying to say is if you do the simple little things, these little things that I'm asking you to do, would you not agree, these 10 core commitments, every one of you can do them. They're easy to do. Would you not agree? Definition of easy is something you can do, right? They're easy to do. What you'll find is successful people do the simple little things, the easy things that seem to make no difference at all in the act of doing them, and they just do them over and over and over and over and over and over until the compound effect kicks in and they go, okay? And so here's what I mean by that. Let's just take 2 people. We're going to start down this road. Let's see if this works. Yeah, 2 people are going to start down a road. What's going to happen is they start down this road, one goes like this, and then all of a sudden they go up like that. That's how it always looks. They call that the bended knee. You plant your seeds, you plant your seeds, you cultivate, and all of a sudden you go up there. Another person's going to kind of do the same thing, but they're going to go down here. They got the same product, they got the same company, they got the same market, they got the same everything, okay? Generally speaking, what this person has is what? There's a how-oriented person. They don't have right philosophies. They don't have the right attitudes. This person takes the exact same hows because they have the right philosophies and right attitudes. They go to the top. What I have found is that people up here that are successful, they live a life of responsibility. People down here live a life of blame. If there's one thing I've learned in life is the number one thing that liberates you in life is take responsibility, even when it hurts, even when it doesn't seem fair. Because when you don't take responsibility, you disempower yourself. You give power to somebody else when you don't take responsibility, even when they're wrong. Okay? Just, I've always said, don't complain about what you allow. Trust me, people, I'm up here preaching right now. I don't do these things always right, okay? But I'm just saying, these are general philosophies to try and follow. But here's what I found. Successful people exercise simple disciplines over time. Unsuccessful people exercise simple errors in judgment. Remember I said, everything I've asked you to do today, I haven't asked you to do one thing that's not easy. Definition of easy is something you can do. Who here can't do 2 exposures a day? Who here can't attend one business briefing? Who here can't send out a long-distance package? You know, these are things that you can do. They're easy to do. The reason most people don't do them because they're easy not to. But the real reason is because the difference between success and failure is so subtle that most of us miss it. What successful people do is they do the little things that seem to make no difference at all. And they do them over and 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 over. Learn knowledge, activity knowledge, learn knowledge, activity knowledge, learn knowledge, activity knowledge, learn knowledge, activity, learn knowledge, activity knowledge, plant the seeds, cultivate, treat it like a business, give it time, and all of a sudden it kicks in, they become the teacher, they become where they're being modeled, and they become the teacher, and it takes off. Unsuccessful people say, it just doesn't matter, I'll do it, I won't do it, I'll do it, I won't do it, I'll do it, I won't do it, and they just kind of drift off and they blame everybody, okay? The best analogy for this is health. Well, you know, think about this. We all know basically you dig your grave with your teeth. You do. Everyone in here, I guarantee you, you know how you're supposed to eat. You know you're supposed to eat vegetables, you're supposed to eat quality proteins, quality fats, quality fiber. We all know it, right? We all know it. There's more information than there's ever been about it, but why don't we do it? Because it's easy not to. I mean, if I walked up to somebody and I just watched somebody eat a McDonald's hamburger, and they had a heart attack and fell over, what would you do? You go, whoa, I'm not going to ever eat a McDonald's hamburger. We all know, but you know how you get a heart attack? Because you eat McDonald's hamburgers for 20 or 30 years. You exercise a simple error in judgment versus a simple discipline, okay? If I see somebody, you know, over there not exercising, somebody exercising, they fall over, and I just say, what I'm trying to say is you see, put it this way, I see somebody up here, they're eating a good food, and you're down here not eating good food. Is there any difference between them that day? No. You see this person eating a good meal this day, you see them not eating a good meal here. Is there any difference? What happens is there's no difference between those two people for a period of time. It's the same thing as I have a person up here who hands out 2 third-party tools in a day, and a person down here doesn't. Is there any difference between those two? The person that does this too, does the company call them and go, congratulations, you're going to become a platinum? No. Does the person at the bottom of the company call them and go, we're going to terminate you? There is no difference, okay? The person up here does 2 more the next day. Does he go to the top? No. The person at the bottom doesn't do them. Does he go to the bottom? No. But what happens over a year when this person does his 2 times 250, 500, and what happens with that through his learn knowledge, activity knowledge, but more importantly, he does it, now he gets another 5 doing it, and eventually he gets 25 doing it, but this person just does his 2, does his 1, maybe does it, hopes everybody does it. He gets over here, and he has nobody following him, right? And he maybe through the year does 100 of them because he's in and out, but he really has nobody around him doing it because he's not doing it. And then what does he do? He quits and he blames everybody, right? And a person up here sends out their 1 long-distance package a week. Is he going to have a national organization right away? No. This person down here doesn't send out his long-distance package that same week. Is the company call him up and say, you're not going to have a national organization? No. What I'm trying to say is the difference between success and failure is so subtle, you never see it. Successful people do the little things that seem to make no difference at all in the act of doing them, and they just do them over and over and over and over and over and over, basically with faith that it'll eventually work. They plant their seeds and cultivate, and all of a sudden it takes off. Unsuccessful people exercise a simple errors in judgment. They just say it doesn't matter. I just don't need to go to the weekly meeting this week. It won't matter. You know, if you go to the weekly meeting this week, does your business explode? If somebody else doesn't go to the weekly business briefing this week, does their business fail? No. There's really no difference, right? So you just think it doesn't matter when it matters. It totally matters. Because until you do it, your group won't do it. Until you're core, you can't get core people, okay? Until you're core and you find core people, they can't find their core. And so what I'm saying in the slide edge is it's a simple concept. The people up here, they exercise simple disciplines. And the 10 core commitment, there's not one thing in there that you can't do. They're all by definition easy to do. Definitively easy is something that you can do. But you know why most people don't do them? Because they're easy not to. And the reason is when they don't do them, it doesn't destroy your business today. It's the same mistake we make in health. It's the same thing about personal development. A person up here reads 10 pages of a good book today. This person down here doesn't. Is there any difference between them today? The person up here reads another 10 pages the next day. This person down here doesn't. Is there any difference between them today? But over a year, this person reads 3,650 pages of a good book, about 10 to 12 books. This person down here hasn't read one. Is there a big difference over there? And all of a sudden, that one influences these people, and all of a sudden he's got 5. Is that a huge difference? And all of a sudden, if you lose 25, all of a sudden you got your core group of people, and that leads you to the thousands of people. Okay? What I'm trying to say is what you do matters. Okay? And you've got to treat this like a business. This is why I had to do this whole talk. If I had $500,000 of yours, I would say, read this book and figure it out. I wouldn't sit here and work on your brain so hard. Okay? Because you would show up every single day, and you would do exactly what they say to do in the manuals, right? You wouldn't come in and try and recreate it and reinvent it and refigure it out, was what we all do, because you don't have enough on the line. You had $500,000 on, you say, that's what they say to do, that's what I'm going to do. But I have to sit up here and have to pound on you to stay with the basics and to do the things I'm asking you to do, the laws of duplication, and to do the persistent, consistent things, and protect your organization from all the outside influences that you're going to listen to, especially these people down here who know everything. You ever notice those guys? They know everything. You ever notice they never built a statue for a critic? I mean, they criticize everything, they know everything, but they don't do anything. I mean, that's what Napoleon Hill said. You've got to inoculate yourself from those people. That's why you have your workout groups. That's why you have your mastermind group. But successful people understand this. It's a really interesting thing. People that do this right here, they're uncomfortable. What I'm asking you to do there is uncomfortable at first. I mean, you got to do the weekly meetings. You got to do the 2 exposures. Everybody around you is going, oh, look at you. You think you're somebody. You're breaking away. You ever notice how they all make fun of you when you try to be somebody? You should have seen the attacks I got when I tried, Mr. Corporate America, Small Business America, doing this little stupid little network marketing thing, okay? And so everybody laughing at me as I took off and did this business. Uncomfortable. Down here, it's very comfortable. Because, it's really funny. In life, 5% of the people make it. 95% of the people are dead or dead broke at age 65. That's a statistic. At 65, 95% of people are dead or dead broke. That means it's 1 against 19 all the time. Okay? That's why you better surround yourself with one and get those other ones around you and those other ones around you and build that core group. Because the vast majority out there are negative, they're cynical, they're critical, and they're going to attack you. It's like God put them there to see if you deserve it. Okay? It really does, okay? If these people here are uncomfortable, these people are uncomfortable because they're all patting each other on the back. Oh, look at that stupid person. You go to that weekly meeting. How much money have you made today? How many times you heard that stupid question? They're their dumb job. They've been in for 10 years, and they're still making the same money basically they were making 5 years ago, and they're saying these stupid critical things. You've got to do the opposite of the majority, and you'll normally be right. It's a pretty simple thing, okay? But they're comfortable down here, but here's what happens. The person who in life exercise those simple disciplines over time and does them repeatedly over time, later in life, they're comfortable. And these people who exercise the simple errors in judgment, later in life, they're very uncomfortable. Very uncomfortable. Now, I'll tell you what I have found, if you find a vehicle, and that's what we've been talking about, prepaid legal is a vehicle, and you go to work at it for 5 years and treat it like a business and follow the laws of duplication and allow this thing to duplicate and work for you, you can break away from the masses, okay? Now, I don't care where you're at in your life. You can be down here, not doing very well. You just drop a line and you start all over like you're right here. You just start all over. I don't care where you're at. You start over and you commit to the simple persistency, consistency, duplicatable, laws of duplication, concept, protect your organization for all those outside influences, become a core person first so you attract core people, so you have a group of core people to work around, all of a sudden it will start happening for you, okay? Successful people just do what unsuccessful people are not willing to do. They live out of their comfort zone. Successful people do the little things that seem to make no difference at all in the act of doing them. They just do them over and over and over and over and over and over until the compounded effect kicks in and it duplicates to the organization and they explode, okay? Unsuccessful people exercise a simple errors in judgment, just kind of do it and they don't do it, in and out. It really doesn't matter if I don't do my 2 today. Nobody's looking. It matters. It matters. If it's 11:45, you just open that door and you throw 2 in the front yard just to say to yourself that you know that you lived up to your commitment, that you're a core person, okay? It matters. It all matters, okay? So to me, this is everything. To me, from a health standpoint, when I open my mouth what I'm going to eat, that's a simple error in judgment or it's a simple discipline. When I look at a book that I'm going to read, it's a simple error in judgment, that's a simple discipline. When I think about what I'm going to do every single day, whether it's with my daughter, with people in my life, it's a simple discipline, a simple error in judgment. When I think about the business, when I think about anything, every decision I make is a slight edge decision. Every one. It's either a slight edge decision that's a simple discipline or it's a simple error in judgment. You just got to understand that those simple disciplines add up, those simple errors and judgments add up. okay? They do matter. They do matter very, very much. This, to me, has been everything for me because it really allows me to drive home the concept that these 10 core commitments, they do matter. Everything you do every single day does matter. Okay, very quickly here, I want to talk about goal setting. I know everybody hates it, but it changed me big time, goal setting. They did a survey of the graduating class of Yale University in 1953. They asked them there who had written their goals. 93% had not, 97% had not, 3% had. They came back 20 years later, 1973, and they asked them what their net worth was. The 3% who had written their goals down, net worth was larger than 97% who had not. That was enough for me. When I heard that one, I said, I'm going to start writing my goals, okay? I didn't know what I was doing, how to write goals, but I committed to the process. There's a 6-step process to goal setting. And what I'm going to ask you to do is, with everything we've talked about tonight, you don't have to do it tonight, but as you go through this next few days and week, establish your goals around these 10 core commitments and around this business, okay? And here's a simple thing. The 6-step process is like this. First of all, everything has to be written, okay? You can't have it in your head. A goal has to be written, okay? So you write down, I want to be an executive director. I want to read 10 books. I want to do 500 exposures this year with 2 a day, you know. I want to send out 50 long distance packages, you know. Whatever it is, you write down your goals. But I'd ask you to write down your goals for where you want to be in the organization. I'd ask you to write down your goal, where do you want to be by the end of the year? Where do you want to be by the international conference? Where do you want to be by the end of next year, okay? Write down that goal. So the first thing is got to be written. The second thing, it has to be specific, okay? I want, you know, by that you can't just say I want to be successful. I want to be an executive director. You can't just say I want to make it prepay legal. I want to be executive director. I want to be a manager, whatever it might be. The third thing, and these all tie together, there has to be a time element attached to it. I want to be a manager by the end of the year. I want to be a director by the international conference. I want to be an executive director by the end of year 2005. You need to write it. It has to be specific. It has to have a time element attached to it. That time element is everything. Because it's amazing how in life, 80% of everything you do gets done in the last 20% of the time. You ever notice that? Whether it's a wedding, a party, anything going on in your life. 80% of everything gets done in the last 20% of the time. But you have to write it down, make it specific. It has to have a time element attached to it. The fourth thing, though, is you have to have a plan. And this is where everybody gets messed up. They think they got to have the plan that's going to get them there. No, you just got to get the plan to get you started. You remember how everyone wants to teach everybody everything? You got to just have the plan to get you out of the diapers and get you in the training pants, okay? You just got to get started. People always sit around trying to figure out the entire plan, how they're going to go to platinum. You don't know that. What you do is you got to just have a plan. What I'm suggesting to you is put your plan together around the 10 core commitments. I want to be an executive director by the international conference. Okay, then you break that down to how many exposures I'm going to do, how many long distance packages I'm going to do, how many briefings I'm going to go to. You got to have a plan. What I'm trying to tell you is the first plan won't be the plan that gets you there. The plan you design at first will not be the plan that gets you to platinum. But you've got to have a plan, so you go through learn knowledge, activity knowledge, learn knowledge, activity knowledge, and it adjusts all the time. But they call that plan, do, review. You plan something, you do it, you review it, and you adjust it, okay? It's like a rocket on the way to the moon. It's off track 97% of the time. You don't realize it. It looks like it's going straight to the moon, but it's off track. It's off track all the time. Gyroscope is getting data, feeding the computer, and the computer is putting it on track. You're off track all the time, okay? Your plan will be off track, but you've got to start with a plan so you can get to the second plan, so you can get to the third plan, okay? What I'm trying to say is don't try and figure it out. Why did Watson say, do the thing? Watson said, double your rate of failure. What did Emerson say? Do the thing and you'll have the power, right? What they were saying is get into the activity. So you come with a plan, break it down into 10 core commitments. The fifth thing is there's a price you're going to have to pay. There's something you're going to have to give up, okay? I mean, I gave up softball. You know, but what I don't know what it is. I mean, think about it. If you're into bowling, if you can bowl over 100, there's not many people that bowl over 100 are millionaires, except for the ones that bowl over 200, okay? I mean, you got to think about things. Where are you putting your energies in life, okay? My whole thing, though, is there is a price you're going to have to pay, but here's my feeling about it. There's a bigger price to pay for not doing it than there is for doing it. Because here's one thing you got to get real clear in your mind. You find a vehicle and you go to work hard on it 5, 10 years so that you can have freedom and time that we all dream about. That's a 5, 10-year commitment, let's say. See, why I'm saying it's different numbers because it's different for every one of you, because every one of you shows up the starting line different from your life's experiences. You know, my life's experiences of college and Son of America and and Texas Instruments prepared me a little bit differently than another person shows up. But I believe everybody can get to the finish line, okay? Everybody can get that. It's been proven by, if you look at all the platinums and prepaid legal, they're all different when they got to the starting line. But they all ended up being platinums, okay? But what I'm trying to say is there's going to be a price you're going to have to pay. There's going to be the time you're going to give it. But the price of neglect is harder than the price of doing. Because in my opinion, you find a vehicle, you put in the time, you do these persistent, consistent things, and so you go to platinum, that's going to give you one thing. But the price of neglect, do you realize it takes the rest of your life to fail? That's one thing you got to get real clear in your head. It takes 3, 5, 10 years, something like that, to succeed. But if you don't do that, it takes your entire life to fail. If you don't succeed, you fail. We're talking financially, okay? It's the rest of your life. I would rather get on it and hit it hard and get that out of the way than have to carry that failure thing in my brain the entire life. Especially when I'm around a company like prepaid that you know 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, it's going to have succeeded and the pie of commissions is going to be bigger and bigger and you could have had your piece of it and you know how to do it. I'll guarantee you, you're leaving today, you know how to build a large organization. You don't know how to sell membership yet. They got that training. You don't know how to do group yet. They got that training. You don't know how to do that, but you know how to build an organization if you'll follow these simple things, okay? And so my thing is the price of neglect is a way worse price to pay than the price of discipline and applying yourself for the next few years, okay? So there's a price you're going to have to pay. The sixth one, this is a real important one. You got to look at it every single day. And I mean this. You got to put it in your journal. You got to put it in your day timer. You got to look at it every single day. The reason you do that is because your subconscious brain is one of the biggest distractions you got. All the negative stuff, when you go to first grade, you've heard no 40,000 times, you've heard yes 5,000 times. That's why most of us are negative by nature. We have a negative subconscious by nature. You know, one thing I did, if anybody knows my daughter, I have a daughter with self-esteem beyond. She's in the honors program, straight A's. She's doing great in college. She's a cool kid. The reason that is not the hows. I didn't teach her the hows. The only thing that we're able to do different is we noticed one thing. We knew we couldn't change the 40,000 no's because that's what you do as a parent. You build boundaries. Don't run out there. Don't do this. You can't do that. The no's are something you have to do to protect the kid. But every time we said no, we tried to find a yes. One of the greatest gifts you'll ever give your kids is more yeses than no's. So, Amber went to school with 40,000 no's, but she went to school probably with 150,000 yeses. Changed her self-esteem. It changed her philosophies. It changed her attitude, okay? What I'm trying to say is the reason you look at your goals every single day is there's a lot of negative influences. And the reason you're not hanging around with your core group of people, your mastermind group, because that is your inoculation group. You've got to constantly keep reminding your brain of where you're going because you will get distracted. All of a sudden, you'll drift away from a meeting. You'll drift away from the 2 exposures a day. You'll drift away from the 1 long distance package because everything around you, that 19 versus 1, is influencing you away. People, this is not just prepaid legal. It's not this industry. It's everything you do. You can take this back to anything you do that's out there, okay? You've got to look at it every single day so you keep yourself focused on the activity. If you don't, you'll just drift away. It'd be like the rocket without the gyroscope. It'd just eventually drift off track. You look at them every single day to keep telling your subconscious brain, which is the most powerful computer in the world. Your subconscious brain is more powerful than any other computer out there. That is 90% of your brain that is driving everything going on. You consciously got to tell it what you want so that it will constantly be figuring things out. Here's what I found. When I set goals, and I look at them every single day, it's the most amazing thing. Life has a way of rearranging itself, and a series of events start happening that I could have never predicted, could never have planned to get me there. That has happened to me so many times. But if I sit there and try to figure it all out, that won't happen. If I just look at my goals, and my subconscious brain goes to work on it, and I got to have this knowledge that I got, and I got to have the right philosophies, and I got to have the right attitude, and I got all that in place, all of a sudden my brain just things start happening, series of events start happening that I could never predicted, could have never planned, that takes me to that goal, okay? That's what I'm trying to say is you just got to get started. So it's real simple. It's got to be written, it's got to be specific, got to have a time element attached to it, you got to pay a price. I mean, you got to have a plan to make it happen. Understand that's not going to be the right plan at first. You got to pay a price to make it happen. And the last one is you got to look at every single day. Okay, with all that said, I love this next story. Because this next story is network marketing, okay? And it's a story. Because everybody still will ask, I'll get after this meeting, people come and ask me, now, what order do you do exposures in? People, there is no right order. You know, I could bring any 10 of you an interview about how you were exposed in this business. One would say, you know, my next door neighbor handed me a tape, called me up 5 times, finally listened to a call-in line. Finally, there was a PBR down the street. I went to that. I finally went to the weekly meeting. I saw it. They had a training. With the training, I finally decided to do it. Another person would say, I bumped into a person. I didn't even know him. At lunch, we started talking. We exchanged cards. That night, he sent me to his internet site. I signed up that night on the internet. It's different every single time. That's why I hate trainings that go, this is how we do it. Because it's different every single time. I've never seen one person brought in this company the same as another person, really. It's different. We're all a unique set of circumstances, okay? And that's why I don't know how you can train exactly how to do it. You can train how to think. You can train concepts like 2 exposures a day, but you can't say which one in which order, because it's different every single time. You teach them to have the right philosophies, the right attitudes to do it, okay? And just stay in the process, and it'll start happening. But people always want to say, well, how did this happen? How do you make this happen? Well, I'm going to tell you the true story. And how I had I told you how I built Germany, how I went over there, but how Germany really happened. How I built the largest organization in all of Germany, which is now the largest organization in all of Europe, which is one of the most successful organizations in the history of network marketing, okay? Here's what happened. One day, this is a true story, I woke up. I turned on TV while I was getting ready. And all of a sudden on TV, they were talking about a franchise show in Albuquerque. So I looked at that, watched that, and it was a business opportunity franchise show. So I thought, hey, maybe I should get in that, okay? I'll try anything. So I called the franchise people. They were doing that show. And I said, hey, do you have an opening? They said, yeah. And I go, what does it take? And they told me myself. I said, okay. My day changed on Friday morning. I wasn't going to do that Friday. I changed everything. I went out and had to buy stuff to make a booth. I had to make little signs. I had to put together little packages. And then I showed up Saturday morning at my little franchise show. Successful people do what unsuccessful people are not willing to do, okay? I did what a lot of people wouldn't do right there. Never done that. I'm sitting at the franchise show. I'm sitting there, and I got my little stupid booth put up. There's really nice ones out there. And here I am, a guy, you know, top of his class in business school, Texas Instruments, Center of America, now sitting there with my little network marketing company, handing out my little brochures. I mean, I was out of my zone, okay? But if those stupid people can make that kind of money, I was going to figure this out. This was early on in my thing, okay? So I was sitting there, and across from me was another guy doing franchise. He was the bear man. He was blowing up balloons around bears. You ever seen that? So that means I was really uncomfortable. If the guys from Texas Instruments could see me now, bear man and me, okay? So sitting there, and people would come walking in, and I would try and hand them my information. I was learn knowledge, activity knowledge, working real fast there. I was going, you know, I was trying to give stuff, and people wouldn't pay attention to me, okay? I was going, like, they'd walk towards me, and as soon as I'd face them, they would turn and look at Bear Man. I was going, why are you here if you don't want to talk to me? You know, so I was trying to do things. I was trying to figure out how to do this. And so eventually I said, well, I got to figure out a way to get this information in people's hands. So what I'd do is I would watch people come around the turn there, and I'd look at, and if I saw somebody I thought looked like somebody I really wanted to talk to, I'd look at what their shoes were. This is a true story, okay? Look what their shoes were, and I'd turn. I'd be sitting there like this. When I saw their shoes, I knew Bear Man was looking at them, so they're looking at me. Okay, so I'd look up and say, hey, and I'd start talking to them, trying to get information. They freak out, okay? And I get some information in some people's hands and not in some people's hands. I had 300 packages. My goal was to get in people's hands and try and get their names, okay? That was my goal that weekend. Get 300 packages out, maybe get 10, 20 names written down. That was my whole goal for being there those 2 days. So I was sitting there and I started doing this information. So I'd pick up people's shoes and learn. And I finally figured out a line. I went through like 10 lines. I finally came with a line. I was sitting there, saw a pair of shoes, sitting there, saw him. I turned around. I knew Bear Man was looking at him, so he was looking at me, okay? I turned around and I go, would you be interested in some great propaganda? And because I was so honest, I go, yeah. And they'd stop, they'd laugh. I go, you know, I give it to them. Conversation was happening. I did that line for the whole weekend, got my 300 packages out, got about 25 names, okay? That was that weekend. One of them was a doctor that lived in Albuquerque, Dr. Shapiro. He came by, and, you know, I got the information in his hands. I got his name. We had a little conversation. It felt good. You know, I was getting like 1 out of 10. It was an ugly experience, okay? Followed up with him. It took me about a month and a half to finally get him, you know, to come to a meeting. He came to a meeting in Albuquerque. He liked what he saw. Okay, so then we sat down. We had our little Getting Started Right meeting. Went through the training with him. And that's when Germany was happening. So I had added to my training Germany. Do you know any Germans? And he goes, no, I don't know any Germans. I go, well, everybody you knows somebody who knows somebody. You know, 6 people can network the entire world. I had this whole talk. You know somebody who knows a German, just keep asking. He goes, what do you mean? I go, just in casual conversation, when you're talking to somebody, ask them if they know a German. So about 2 weeks later, he comes back to the meeting, because he'd been trained, go to the meetings and trainings, okay? He goes, I found a German. I go, what do you mean? He goes, my next door neighbor was cutting his lawn. We're talking. I said, hey, by the way, Bob, do you know any Germans? He goes, I know a German. He's, over in Germany. He goes, really? And so he came back. He goes, I have a German. And he wrote all the information. I said, well, great. And so I said, well, send this information to him. I'm coming over there in a couple of months, okay? And so then he comes back to me. He says, aren't you going to be in Miami in about 2 weeks doing a meeting? I said, yeah. And he goes, he's going to be in Miami because he's going on vacation. I said, well, have him come to the meeting. So I went to Miami. I did the meeting. Afterwards, Vim comes up to me, starts talking. I go, hey, Vim. We talk, everything he likes. And he goes, I want to do this. I said, you got to see this. He can speak English. So I said, Germany's going to open. You could be on the ground floor. You saw what we're doing here. Got all excited, okay? I said, go back, send a bunch of information, go back to Germany. We're going to open up. 3 months go by. Germany doesn't open. The company has to delay it like 4 months. Vim goes, hey, man, I'm getting ready. What am I going to do? And I said to him, Vim, you're going to have to go to England. He goes, what do you mean go to England? I go, England's open. I go, you got to know some people in England. Go over there and do it in England for about 4 months, and get a little organization. Go and learn a lot. Go there, learn knowledge, activity knowledge. And when Germany opens, you'll really be ready because you've gone through it. He took his wife, Birgit, and they went to England, okay? So they had a little flat in England, and the meeting was over here, and they were doing their little thing, building a little group in England when they lived in Germany, okay? And they would walk to the meeting every week because they're going to the meeting like I teach them to do. Well, there was a painter painting a house on the way, and one day they stopped and talked to the painter. And the painter, and they go, hey, do you know anybody in Germany? Because I taught them to ask, do you know people in Germany when you're in England? Because more people in England know people in Germany than people in the United States know people in Germany. I said, you can get a lot of people besides people you know in Germany, okay? So this guy says, yeah, I know this guy in Germany. He's real big. He's a successful guy, okay? Well, when Germany opened, when I was in Hamburg, that was Wim Plonger, the guy that came over in Miami, was there, and there was that guy. Those two guys were the ones that went with me the whole time. Those two are millionaires, multimillionaires, of the biggest organizations there are in all of Germany, okay? Now, I want to ask you a question. How did I plan that? You think one day I got up and I said, okay, I've got to figure out how to build this largest organization in Germany. I've got to think this one through for a while. I got it. I'm going to turn on the TV. There's going to be a franchise show. There's going to be a franchise show. I'd say, hey, I'm going to get in a franchise show. I'll call them and say, can I get in a franchise show? They say, yeah, what do I do? They give me stuff. I go to work on it. I get my signs together. I get my thing together. I go down there, sit there, thank God they put it across from the bear man because people would look at the bear man. He'd be looking at me. So I sat there, tried to talk to people. People won't talk to me. So I finally figured out, if I look at their shoes, I'll watch their shoes. I'll turn to talk to them. But they still won't like my lines. So I'll keep on working on lines. I'll finally come to this great line. Would you like me some propaganda? So they go, yeah. So I kept on doing that. I got my 300 packages out. I got my 25 things done. Finally, thank God, this doctor from Albuquerque comes through, Dr. Shapiro. And he got that information. It'll take me about, maybe 3 weeks to get him to a meeting. He'll finally come to the meeting. He'll like it. Thank God. He comes to training, and I'll be talking about Germany. I'll say, do you know any Germans? He says, no, I don't know any Germans. But I keep on telling him, find a German. Thank God his next-door neighbor, Bob, was cutting the lawn that day. Thank God it wasn't raining. There can't be raining, okay? So he asked that guy, you know anybody in Germany? He says, yeah, I know somebody in Germany. He brings that back to me, and I say, okay, let's get that guy. He says, well, he's going to be in Miami. Thank God I'm going to be training in Miami that weekend so we can meet. We met. He goes back to Germany. I said, be ready. We're going to be opening up in a few months. But no, we don't open up. And thank God he don't open up because I say, you got to go to England. Perfect plan. Don't open up. You got to get into England. He goes to England. I say, now you're in England. You got to go to the meeting. He's going to the meeting, and he talks to that guy painting the house. Thank God that person's going to be painting the house because that guy's got to be painting the house. He has that guy to paint the house. You know somebody in Germany? The guy says, yeah. He talks to that person, and we're going to all meet together in Hamburg and travel around the country and make the biggest organization. I got to figure out that's exactly how I'm going to do it. You think that's what I did? Quit trying to figure it out and do it. That's what I'm trying to say. All I ever did is I did it, and I did it, and I did it, and I did it, and the people around me started doing it, and doing it, and doing it, and doing it, and they started doing it, and doing it, and doing it, and it worked, okay? And I did simple little things that were duplicatable. I was persistent. I was loyal to the 10 core commitments. I never did anything more. I protected my organization from everything. I was a core person to attract the core people. I stayed on core all the time, and it led to that, okay? You know how many places it could have fallen apart in there? You know how many times it could have fallen apart? But all I did was stupid little things that seemed to make no difference at all in the act of doing them. I just did them consistently over and over and over in time, okay? I'll just end it with this, people. In life, it's very simple. Every day and every decision you make, you're either building your dream or you're building somebody else's dream. It's that simple, And we're a society that loves to build others' dreams. We adore these sports people, and we adore these actors, and they're fine. I like them to entertain me too. But people, cheer for yourself. Get excited about yourself, okay? Get excited what you could become. And every decision you make and everything you do, it's a slide-edge decision. It's a simple error in judgment. It's a simple discipline. It is that every decision is either building your dream or you're building somebody else's dream. Everything you do is going to either lead to you breaking away from the masses or being one of the masses. I really believe from the bottom of my heart, with a vehicle like Prepaid Legal, if you have the vision of it, and if you can get locked in to these 10 core commitments and do these things in a persistent, consistent way, follow the laws of duplication, protect your organization from all these outside influences, okay? And you'll commit to the process. I believe if you'll do that over time, you can have everything you want with this business, okay? I've enjoyed the night. Thank God with you. Take care. Thank you. Bye-bye.